name is Eric Prosher, and I'm with Mr. Mark McGill, the Medical Center Director for Jesse Brown VA. And today we're going to talk about Jesse Brown VA State of the Union. And you're watching a live call-in interactive program brought to you by CAN TV 21. So during the next 25 minutes, we're going to be discussing ongoing issues at the hospital. And we invite you to call in with any questions that you have at 312-738-1060. Our phone lines are now open. Hello, Mr. McGill. Thank you for coming on the show again. And it's hasn't been too long since you've been at Jesse Brown, but there's lots of things that are going on. So one of the things that you've talked about last time you were on the program was a campaign called Hello, My Name Is Not Hey Baby. Mm-hmm. And you showed this this pin, mm-hmm. and I noticed today, for the callers at home, there was a culture change campaign. And could you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. And again, Eric, thank you for having me back on. I appreciate being able to talk to you and your viewers. So yes, I'm very excited about the Culture Change campaign that we just officially kicked off today at Jesse Brown. And this was in response to a subject that I talked last time. We found out through talking to our veterans and talking to our employees that there were instances where they felt harassment, and they actually experienced harassment, whether it was in terms of being catcalled or being made to feel uncomfortable about going down a certain portion of the medical center. And that's not something that I wanted our medical center to have associated with us. Our medical center is a first-class healthcare institution, and I want our medical center to be seen as that. So we instituted a culture change initiative, and what that entailed was getting a group of people that were interested to define this issue. And so what we did, we got together some folks that had actually experienced this harassment. Started out with 10 people, and actually this was a group that everybody wanted to be on, whether they'd experienced the harassment or not. I think that group grew to about 35 at one point, and they came up with about 15 different recommendations. Some of those recommendations were training courses that VA employees needed to go through, and we've instituted those. The thing that you have displayed for your viewers, those are life-size
posters, right?
Posters.
Yeah.
And the people on those posters, actually the models there, those are veteran employees, and they were very courageous, and they volunteered to have their picture taken, and their branch of service is down there. And you notice that they also have the Hello, My Name Is Not Hey Baby sign, and then they have their own individualized quote, whether it's harassment doesn't stand at Jesse Brown or we demand a professional environment. But this has been a great awareness initiative.
Wow, they're life-size posters. I saw them all around the hospital. Mm-hmm. And for those at home, you probably can't read, but like the first one, it says, stand up to harassment, hello, not hey baby. And the quote is, you're not giving me a compliment, you're talking away my comfort. Mm-hmm. What a great, oh wow, we have a caller already.
Great.
Mr. McGill. Hello, caller. You're here with Jesse Brown VA Medical Center Director, Mr. McGill. What is your question?
I'm speaking to Mr. McGill, right?
Yes. Well,
all right. I have a question for you. I understand the President is signing an accountability legislation that will hold VA employees accountable to do their jobs. My question for you is, how do you hold your employees accountable?
Well, thank you, caller. That's a great question. And I think accountability first starts with employees knowing what is expected of them. And to me, that's actually very simple. And this is for all VA employees. And I do want to say the majority of the employees at Jesse Brown, I'm very proud of them. We have some great employees. They understand the mission. They want to provide the absolute best care possible for veterans. But the expectations are that they adhere to VA values, that they follow our policies, that they conduct their work in adherence with laws, legally, ethics, and then for our supervisors and for our managers, there's some higher expectations even. Those expectations would be that they support their employees and that they work together to engage those employees and work together as a team to accomplish objectives for veterans. They work with our union partners to ensure that our union contracts are adhered to. They recognize and reward good performance when that performance is exhibited. And they are also responsible for their area, whether that is to ensure that their area is safe or ensure their area is clean, but it's the best that it can be to serve our veterans in the way that they deserve to be served. So that's a great question. I will tell you that my expectation also is that if anyone intentionally harms a veteran or brings about an unsafe situation, that will be dealt with very, very aggressively, as it should be. And we do have a very fair system, I believe, that promotes due process, but we have a range of penalties depending on what needs to happen, it will happen. And as far as the legislation that was just signed, I believe that's going to be announced tomorrow. And I'm excited about that. VA, we're very supportive of that, and I believe the policies that we have in place will fit very nicely with that. The other thing that legislation provides is protection, additional protection for whistleblowers. And I think that's a good thing because that allows employees that believe that there's something that is wrong with their area, mismanagement or whatever, if they've not been able to bring that up through other avenues, that they can have that whistleblower protection and there will not be retaliation against those employees. So I applaud that legislation and look forward to implementing it at Jesse Brown.
Wow, thank you for the question, caller, and what a comprehensive response, Mr. McGill. Oh wow, we have another caller already. Hello, caller. You're on with Jesse Brown, Medical Center Director, Mr. McGill, and I'm Eric Prosher.
Hi, Mr. McGill and Eric. My question is about in regards to vets who suffer from PTSD. Aside from medicinal ways of helping them with it, like drugs and things like that, do you offer holistic approaches or yoga or things like that, alternatives to medication?
Absolutely, caller. And I do want to just very quickly, I'm so proud of the mental health services that VA provides. And this is both nationally and at Jesse Brown. There's no other healthcare system that I'm aware of that has such a comprehensive package of mental health benefits available to its population as VA does. And we have all kinds of special programs. I could talk for half an hour on each one of those, but whether it's addressing military sexual trauma or post-traumatic stress disorder or suicide prevention and awareness or identification and elimination of homelessness, we have so many specialized services. So yes, not only traditional treatments are very helpful, but any other treatment that can prove outcome, such as the holistic treatments that you mentioned, they have definite value in that package of benefits. And actually at Jesse Brown, I'm very proud, we have what we call Healing Touch. And that is a program that actually I'm not going to try to explain it, but it shows outcome, and we have some folks that are certified in providing that healing touch, and that's very useful in the management of chronic long-term pain?
And I'd like to add to that too, because the VA has been the head of the curve on this one, ahead of the civilian sector, and recently there is a list that has come out on an expectation from central office about traditional and alternative medicine practices for a variety of issues. And in fact, I'm a psychologist and I work in that transition care and management clinic, and we were the first to really integrate mind-body approaches to addressing conditions like PTSD, anxiety, depression, and chronic pain. So if you are an OEF, OAF, OND veteran, you've deployed to Iraq or Afghanistan after 9/11, you're welcome to come. I do a Monday group every Monday at 10 a.m. on the 10th floor, and it's called Battle Body Retraining. And what it is we teach a series of different mind-body interventions, and I start off by reviewing the research that supports the practice, give a little background, and then we practice the intervention, and your job's to go home and to practice it in between, and then come back next week and let us know how it worked or not worked. And then over 10 weeks, I will teach you 10 different mind-body interventions. We start off with the power of breath and how breathing is so important and fundamental to most of the mind-body interventions that follow. And then we get into more of the traditional autogenic and progressive muscle relaxation. Then we go to more alternative approaches like Qigong, Tai Chi, and Tai Chi has been one of those proven approaches that the VA has recommended. Then we do some chair yoga. Then we do some meditation approaches. Mindfulness meditation is another one that's being recommended by the VA central office. Loving kindness meditation. And mantra therapy, which is also very popular. And then we do some Reiki, which is like very similar to a healing touch. It's an energy-based modality. So it's a walk-in clinic. It's every Monday at 10 a.m. And so if you're interested to find more about these, don't hesitate to stop on by, or you can call the clinic.
So really, we address the whole health needs of our veterans, whether it's through alternative or traditional. And again, that's something, Jesse Brown, that is unique, and I'm very proud of. So thanks.
Great. Well, thank you for the question, caller. And we have another caller. Hello, caller. You're here with the Jesse Brown VA's Veteran Issues. We have Medical Center Director, Mr. McGill, and I'm Eric from the TCM Clinic. How can we help you?
Hi, good afternoon. I'm calling because I wanted to know if veterans ever have a chance to voice their concerns with you guys. Like, are they able to be heard?
Absolutely, caller. We have actually instituted a variety of ways that they can do that. So first of all, we've had several town halls, and I've pledged to our veteran groups that we'll have at each site, we'll have a quarterly town hall. And so we've had a couple of town halls at the Chicago area, and just had a couple of town halls actually in the northwestern part of Indiana, where our large outpatient clinic in Crown Point is at. And so that's one way that we definitely can hear directly from veterans. There's also a focus group that is our Veteran Experience Committee. That's a group that we just started. We have veterans running that group. We also have some of our leaders at the facility that are facilitating that. But that's all about the veteran experience. It's not looking at traditional customer service metrics. It's basically looking at what is the experience of the veteran from the time they enter our facility to the time that they leave. And we've learned some very interesting things from that, and we have some programs that we've started as a result. And maybe later on I can talk about a couple of those. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so some of your comments earlier made me, I had an opportunity to listen to some of Secretary Shulkin's town hall today, and he really emphasized that the VA needs to do things differently. He said, quote, think differently and think bolder. So what is the expectation of the staff to do something differently?
Bold leadership. I like that term, because bold leadership's what we need in VA today. It's what we need at Jesse Brown. I think that we need to identify issues that will help our veterans, whether that's to promote good health care, whether that's to promote a better environment at our facility, but everybody is accountable to do that. I like to say, as director, I have 2,600 helpers to do that.
Well, I think this campaign, Hello, Hey Baby is Not My Name, is a perfect example. As you said, it started off with 10 people, and the next 35 people are willing to give you 15 recommendations about how to begin to change the culture. And it kind of reminded me when I was in the Navy. I was a suicide prevention officer there, and the approach to suicide prevention, it sounds like it's also one that's a big issue that we'll spend more time on in future sessions. But
Yes.
in the Navy, the idea was that suicide prevention was everybody's responsibility.
Absolutely.
Everybody's responsibility.
And what's really sad, and I know that everyone knows this statistic, that daily, national basis, 20 veterans successfully commit suicide. That's 20 too many.
Yeah.
And so the Secretary's instituted a Getting to Zero program. And I think that's so great. But out of those 20 veteran suicides, only 7 are actually being cared for in VA. So the other 6. So the other 14 are outside of the VA. So what that means is basically it's a community responsibility as well. So we have the Veteran Crisis Line that we publicize that number widely. In fact, I'm sure I probably even have a card in my pocket here. It's 1-800-273-8255 and press 1. And that's not just veteran that needs to talk to someone. That's if you know a veteran, that you're close to a veteran, and you believe someone needs help. You can call that. And that's a number really that everyone can take advantage of. So I wanted to talk, if I could, maybe a little bit more about that bold leadership, if that's okay, Eric.
Yes.
So I think also bold leadership is not being afraid, or being willing to tackle controversial issues. And so an issue that I'm pretty passionate about that we just started is smoking. And we had found out through talking to our veteran groups, and the caller that asked about how do you find out veteran issues, well, again, it's through talking directly to veterans. We found out through talking directly to some of our veterans that we were having veterans that were turning away from our care because of the smoking environment. And probably not too many people know, but VA is the only healthcare system that legally has to have a designated smoking area on the campus
I didn't know that.
of the facility. And that's a little bizarre,
It is.
because
Hospital.
we're a hospital, we're healthcare, we're here to promote health. And so that's not just for our veteran patients, but we obviously want our employees to be working in a very healthy atmosphere. And I don't have to quote the statistics about smoking. I think a lot of folks know those. A lot of folks have unfortunately been touched by diseases that have been aggravated by smoking, whether it's lung cancer or whatever. Knowing that someone post-surgical is at a 5 to 10 times risk of having a complication after that surgery. So there's all kinds of evidence as to why we should be smoke-free. So I'm undertaking an initiative to work with our partners, whether it be our union partners, our congressional partners, our veteran service organizations, work with our legislators to see from a legal standpoint, how can we get this changed? So we actually can be a smoke-free campus, and we can promote health care as it should be promoted to our veterans. They deserve nothing less.
Wow, Mr. McGill, that is a bold move. Changing the laws. Wow. So if you can accomplish that, there's no limits to what we could accomplish at Jesse Brown. I'm so glad you're here. So we have a few more minutes, and there's a couple announcements that I would like to make for our VA community. One is the Jesse Brown VA Food Pantry will be closed on Tuesday, July 4th, and also on July 25th. So mark that in your calendars. July 4th, July 25th. There will not be any food pantry at Jesse Brown. We apologize for the inconvenience, but it will resume on Tuesday, July 11th after the 4th of July holiday, and then again on August 1st after the closing on the 5th. And let's see. And also, every year, Jesse Brown VA, the Transition and Care Management Clinic, is required to host a welcome home ceremony for newer returning veterans, and we usually open it up to all veterans. And this year, that welcome home we're joining forces with the Warriors Summit Resource Fair and the Warrior Games, and it's going to be on July 5th at Soldier Field from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. So come on down. There's going to be food, there's going to be refreshments, there's going to be free sports tickets, special appearances, raffle prizes, giveaways, and plus the Warrior Games will also be taking place. So it's an opportunity to check their website for the Warrior Games to see the listing of different events. And so again, I'd like to thank Mr. McGill for coming on the show, and we have 3 minutes left, and wanted to know if there is anything else that we should touch on. Like one of them is, what is a dignified departure policy, and why is that important?
Okay, great. Dignified departure, and I'll try to make this quick. We have many, many policies about how we care for our veterans during their life. What I found, we don't have any policy about how we care for our veterans and their families when they pass. And so dignified departure, we put a group together and we looked at all facets of basically after the veteran passes, are we honoring that veteran? And how can we do that better? And one thing, I'm very excited, we haven't kicked this off yet, but we're actually going to start what's called an honor procession. And this is going to be for the family. And if a family would so desire, we're going to have the veteran with American flag, and we're going to have a chance for our employees and any veteran that wants to honor that veteran in his final journey or her final journey. I'm very excited about that, so more to come on that.
Okay, great, great. And thank you for, again, joining us. I'm Eric Prosher. This is Mr. Mark McGill, Medical Center Director for Jesse Brown VA Medical Center. This is Veteran Issues. And I'd like to thank you for watching CAN TV 21. You can learn more about our organization by calling 312-569-VETS. And also we have Jesse Brown covers a wide array of outpatient clinics, and on your screen at home you will find those clinics with the contact information. So we have one in Crown Point, Indiana. We have one in Auburn Gresham, Chicago, Lakeside, and Chicago Heights. Now please tune in, and we'll be your guests next month, and as we will continue to explore different veteran issues. And please stay tuned for West Garfield Park Youth Council, and they'll follow us in 5 minutes.